This past weekend, I decided to do something I've never done. And I decided to not eat from Thursday night to Sunday about 11 a.m. And it was, if you told me a week ago I would do it, I would tell you, you're crazy. I really love eating. I really love my breakfast. I really love my lunch. I really love my dinner. I really like my late night snacks and my coffee and everything else. And I'm a little bit of a control freak about it. I really like my experience to be good. So I, maintain myself in good energy and never go hungry, right? So it was interesting, but it was very, very beneficial to me and very eye-opening. Here's what I want to share with you. It's not just food that we can be addicted to and go into fridge, which is what was clear to me. How many impulses we have, how many times I just open the fridge and stare at it and see what jumps at me, how many times I just pour myself another cup of coffee, even though I don't really need it, but just out of habit, right? Then I start looking at my life and I just start seeing like, wow, how many times a day do I grab my phone mindlessly? And sort of, it was so interesting because last week I also had a conversation with one of our coaches on our team, and she said to me, I was like, how are you doing? She has 5 kids and she's really awesome. And she also manages about 30 of our clients and she's their coach, right? So I was like, how are you doing? And she's like, I'm doing much better, but I'm still struggling with boundaries. I'm still answering to text at 8 p.m. and I'm working on it, right? And I'm like, really, really great. And we talked about it. And what we came down to is that it is not the clients. It's not the phone. It's our need, our impulsive behavior that takes our freedom away. It steals our freedom. We blame Facebook. But you know what? Facebook was once a wonderful thing. In 2004, 2005, 2006, I remember, wow, this is so amazing that I connect to the people from the 30 countries I had visited at that point, and I can connect to them, I can talk to them, and I don't have to send emails. I can know their pictures, I can see what they're up to. This is so cool to stay connected, right? And now we blame it because it's stealing our time, but is it really? It's our inability to exert self-control over the impulses in our life. We can't help ourselves. We do so many things. We don't say no. We say yes to so many things, right? Consciously or unconsciously. We eat things that we don't have to eat, right? We drink too much coffee. We respond to every comment on Facebook right away. We have to respond to text right away, emails, whatever it is, right? We wake up and the first thing we do is check our phone. And then we say these things are taking our freedom, but they're not. Those things are in our life to help us grow, to help us exercise our choice, right? These things can be beautiful tools. Your phone can be a beautiful tool. It's going to be an amazing tool to connect with people. No have to go across the world to do that, right? My daughter can talk to her grandparents. My daughter can talk to her nannies down south in Costa Rica because we just moved to Nosara. She connects with her nanny, with her former nanny every single day, right? So those are beautiful tools when you have a say over when you use them, right? So I just literally this past Monday I took my clients through an exercise where they had to cut the addiction through emotional release, because there's no other way to do it, to cut their addiction from those things. Addictions are emotions. When you think about grabbing your phone, right? In that moment, when a message arrives or you have a message in your inbox from a client at 8 p.m. and you're thinking about responding, watch that sensation. Watch the urge in the solar plexus that is arising, or maybe it's fear, right? What happens if I don't respond right now? That fear, that urge that is arising, that is emotion that needs to be processed out of your system. It's an emotion that needs to be transmuted, right? There's no other way to deal with addiction. This is, by the way, why, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but plant medicine called iboga, which is practiced here in Costa Rica legally, ibogaine is now being used in alcoholic treatment centers, is extremely effective at cutting just about any addiction out of the system, right? Heroin addicts go into iboga for 3 days and they come out clear and free of all addiction and never think about doing the drug again. Of course, our drug industry pretends they don't know about it because there's no money to be made in that, right? Because it's a plant that grows, you plant it, you grow it, you eat it, and you're good. However, what happens in the ceremonies is emotional release, right? And you can do it on your own. You do not need iboga, but it's a lot harder because you're dealing with your own willingness to do it versus when you're on a plant medicine. Once you eat it, it's happening. You don't have a say. There's no way out. Once you eat it, it's going to clear that addictive, it's going to clear the emotions that drive the addiction out of your system. Right? So that's the beautiful thing about it. But so you can do plant medicine. Ayahuasca does a little bit of that too. I think iboga is more effective specifically for addiction treatments, right? But anyway, it's a little bit of a side conversation, but you can do it for yourself. And the way you do it, you watch. When you do something you don't want to be doing, you feel like you don't have control over it, just pause in that moment when you're grabbing the phone. Feel what you're feeling in that moment and just allow the emotion to arise. And you transmute it by not trying to push it away, trying to suppress it, trying to repress it, whatever you do. Literally just feeling it, letting it arise, and putting attention on that sensation wherever it's arising in your body. And you do that and you allow it to come. Feel it. You do it for 5 minutes and you're like, oh, where is it? I can't feel it anymore because it's gone. You just burn through one little addiction and you do it one at a time. And then you go to the next and the next and the next, right? And you get 1% of your freedom back every time you do that, right? 1% of your freedom back. You do it 100 times, you get what? Maybe not 100% of your freedom because there's other things other than addictions, but you get a lot of your freedom back, right? So imagine the power of this, right? When people ask me why I love plant medicine, because it's such a shortcut. It's a beautiful shortcut. That is not to say it's not difficult. Okay, it's absolutely difficult. Sitting there, staring at the donut in the fridge, letting the emotions arise about the donut, right? It's going to take something. It's not going to be easy, right? Try it, right? In the same way, plant medicine ceremony is not easy because it brings up the emotions that need to processed out, right? It's coming and it's going. It's coming and it's going. So it's fascinating, and I just wanted to share this with you guys, as that's a huge, huge piece of information that that has been coming up for me. You know, the same thing that I've noticed. Sometimes you notice yourself when you're in conversation, you're not really listening because we have this internal addiction to problem solving. The person says blah, 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 and you're immediately solving their problem and going on this very fun journey in your brain about their problem and what you're going to respond, right? And it's the same thing. You can willpower yourself into listening. It's going to work maybe 2 days, and then you go back to being your old self, right? Or you just pause and you feel what you're feeling. What is the energy of needing to respond right that second, right? And you feel that energy and you allow yourself to do it, to feel it. You allow that energy and you see what comes up, right? That's another thing that I've noticed about myself that I do all the time, and I get paid for it. I get paid to be other people's problem solver. So it's a very easy addiction to give into. I do that for a living, right? I solve people's problems all day long, and it's wonderful. I absolutely love it. I get to use my brain all day long as a business consultant, and I'm really good at it, and I really, really love it. But it's also a compulsive behavior, right? When we can't help ourselves. Once I don't have a choice, when somebody's talking to me about their problem and I don't have a choice, I have to solve it, then it's a compulsive behavior. And then in that moment, I lost freedom, right? And when that happens, when we lose our freedom, we're so attached to something, we lose our freedom. It becomes a compulsive behavior. It becomes an addiction. Then universe does what? What does the universe do? It gets taken away from us, doesn't it? Right? Maybe we start having health issues or voice issues and we can't talk anymore, right? Or something happens. Business goes away, right? It's the universe showing you, knocking on your door and showing you, hey, you're a little bit attached here. This does not serve you. You have no control. You have your freedom. You came to this body to free yourself of those things. Get back in the game, right? So it's better to notice, better to detach, better to start having a choice about these things before it gets taken away from you, okay? So, hope this was helpful, you guys. Make sure you're following what we're doing. Oh, and I haven't asked this before, but if you would consider, please leave us a review. I haven't asked a single time, and I noticed we don't have very many reviews, if any. I have lots of people listening, so I really, really appreciate if you take the time. It's going to come back to you karmically, I promise. Your own podcast or whatever is going to get a review too. So leave us a review so that more people can find this on iTunes or wherever. I'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you so, so much.